Once upon a time in the heart of Baghdad, a powerful king named Harun al-Rashid ruled over the land. Though he had wealth, wisdom, and warriors at his command, there were days when boredom crept into his palace like a shadow. On one such day, he called for the only man who could amuse him, not with tricks, but with thought. Abu Nawas stood before the king, calm as always, with a knowing smile on his lips. The king said, "Abu Nawas, today I have a challenge for you. Bring me the most valuable thing in the world, yet it must cost nothing." The entire court went silent. No one dared to even whisper. The king looked around, proud of the riddle he had presented. "You have 3 days," the king added. "Fail, and you shall not be allowed to speak in my court for a whole month." Abu Nawas bowed, saying, "Then I must choose my silence or my words wisely." He left the palace, his mind already racing. At home, Abu Nawas sat beneath an old olive tree. He watched the world. He saw children playing in the street, merchants shouting prices, and an old woman handing bread to a beggar. The beggar smiled and thanked her. That smile struck Abu Nawas. He thought to himself, was it gratitude? Could gratitude be the answer? It cost nothing, yet it gave joy. But was it the most valuable? Unsure, Abu Nawas roamed the streets. He saw a child hug her mother for no reason. A man fed a stray dog. A poet sang in the square for nothing but applause. A dying man looked at the stars and whispered a prayer, smiling. Each moment touched him. Each act was filled with something deep, something human, powerful, and unseen. But what was the word? He wrote on a scroll. Kindness, love, forgiveness, time, honesty, all valuable, all free. But which one was the most valuable? On the second day, Abu Nawas visited the House of Wisdom, where scholars debated everything under the sun. He asked them the same question. What is the most valuable thing that costs nothing? One scholar said, time it slips away, and you cannot buy it back. Another said, trust. Without trust, even gold loses its worth. Another said, truth. It stands firm, even when the world burns. And yet another said, prayer. It connects us to something greater, yet asks no coin. Abu Nawas thanked them all and left even more unsure than before. That night, as he sat beside the river, tossing pebbles into the flowing water, a little girl approached him. She smiled and handed him a flower. "This is for you," she said. "You look sad." Abu Nawas looked at the flower, then at the child. "Why give me something so beautiful?" he asked. "Because you needed it," she answered, then ran off. And suddenly, Abu Nawas felt the answer. Not a word, a feeling, a truth. It had been around him all along. On the third day, Abu Nawas returned to the palace. The court was full. Everyone waited. The king sat forward. "So, have you found the answer, or will you take your vow of silence?" Abu Nawas stepped forward with empty hands. "The most valuable thing in the world," he said, "is something no coin can buy, no thief can steal, and no king can command. It is compassion." The court went silent. With compassion, kingdoms thrive. Without it, they fall. Compassion makes a poor man richer than a sultan. It costs nothing, but gives everything. The king raised his eyebrow. "Can you prove this, Abu Nawas?" Abu Nawas pointed to the guard. "Bring in the beggar who sits outside the palace gates." The beggar was brought in, confused and trembling. Abu Nawas said, "Give him water." The king nodded. Water was brought. The beggar drank. "Now give him bread." He ate slowly, his eyes wet with tears. Now Abu Nawas said, "Look at his face." The court looked. The beggar smiled. A fragile, honest, grateful smile. Abu Nawas said, "You gave him nothing of cost, but what he received was dignity, hope, and life. That is the power of compassion, and it cost you nothing." The king stood and slowly walked to the beggar. He placed his hand on the man's shoulder and said, "Abu Nawas, you are dangerous. You make me feel things I try to hide." He turned to the court. "Let it be known," the king declared. "Abu Nawas has answered my riddle. His wisdom will be recorded in the scrolls of Baghdad." The court applauded. The beggar wept. Abu Nawas simply bowed. That evening, Abu Nawas sat beneath his olive tree once more. Children gathered around him. "Did you win?" one asked. "Yes," he said. "But more importantly, I reminded a king what truly matters." Another asked, "What will you do with the gold?" He tossed the pouch into the air and caught it. "I will share it with those who gave me the answer." those who give freely, those who show compassion." He smiled and said, "Because compassion is not something you own, it is something you live." A week later, the king's decree was posted across Baghdad. From this day forward, the value of a man shall not be measured by gold or land, but by compassion. Let it be the foundation of this kingdom. And so, the story of Abu Nawas and the most valuable thing that costs nothing was passed down for generations, not because of the reward, but because in reminding a king of his heart, Abu Nawas gave an entire kingdom something richer than treasure.